Hi, everybody. We are the Non-Prophets. This show is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin. I'm your host, Jeff D. My co-host is Mary McManamee.
Hello.
With Denis Loubet sitting in this week for Vic Farrow.
Hello.
And our producer, as usual, is Russell Glasser.
Hi there.
Vic is out today. He had to stay back and work. Apparently, there's some kind of cosmic plumbing disaster happening. Now, we are live March 16, 2002. The opening music was Warning Sign by the Talking Heads. We're going to do something a little different with our format today because we're actually beginning our this live broadcast half an hour late due to some technical problems that we had. And there are people sitting in the chat room who have already heard the announcements and things. And so for the sake of them not having to listen to all that again, we're going to do it at the end of the show today. And so we're going straight into news.
Let's do it.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. The story this week is that Pope has asked us to help save turtles. Because a lot of people who celebrate Lent eat meat. And
you save enough sea turtles, you get a toaster oven.
Yeah, right. Collect their shells. Collect all.
No, wait.
Stop.
Sorry.
Stop.
I've completely ruined the flow of the show now.
Well, about 30 every.
We know we don't want sea turtles to be dead.
No, we don't.
I know it's serious, but this story is so insane.
It is.
Please.
Okay, I'll go ahead. All right. A group called the Sea Turtle Conservation Network of the Californias, which is a coalition of fishermen, conservationists, and researchers, say that consumption of illegally caught turtles is one of the major threats to sea turtles in Southern California and Mexico. And what they want to happen is they want for the Vatican to declare turtle meat as red meat, so people won't eat them for Lent. Instead of fish. Well, yeah, because right now they're considered fish.
Right now, according to the Catholic Church, turtles are fish.
Yeah.
That's completely insane.
It is.
Turtles have never been fish.
Never
they're not
will
going to become fish just because the Pope says that they're not. They didn't become fish just because some old Pope said they were fish.
No.
They're not going to become red meat if they were fish now just because someone says that they're red meat now. It's all completely insane.
It is. And Easter week, or Santa Sana in Spanish, is a particularly deadly time for sea turtles. As many as 5,000 turtles will meet, or no pun intended, meet, with poachers' nets in coming weeks.
You're doing it.
I can't help it. And be served for Easter dinner in some of the region's wealthiest households. The tradition of eating sea turtle for Semana Sana, that's Week of the Saints, has roots in religion.
No, wait. Is it always illegal to capture these fish?
Yeah, they're endangered.
It's always.
And they're not.
Always.
But they're not
sea
fish.
turtles, man.
They're not
Mess with them.
You said it's illegal to capture these.
I was trying to get into the spirit of the thing.
I know. Yeah.
Okay,
no.
I understand. So because they're a thing, it seems different from fish in some special way.
Mm-hmm.
And they're restricted to fish during their stupid holy day ceremony. They especially want to eat these. Yeah. And so that's when they break the law.
Right.
And they hunt and kill them and eat them and gobble their yummy flesh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But particularly wealthy people, because apparently wealthy folks are the only people who can afford this particular type of delicacy.
Right. Well,
yeah, poachers don't sell cheap.
Right. Yeah.
And, wealthy people are evil, so...
I would actually prefer they eat the poachers. I mean, that would...
Yeah, that would really solve it, wouldn't it?
Oh, that's nice.
Declare poachers to be meat.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's right. Declare human beings fish. Eat them for Lent.
Well, in all seriousness, about 35,000 endangered sea turtles are slaughtered off the coast of Baja California each year, making its waters the most dangerous place for a sea turtle to swim anywhere in the world. This is according to Dr. Wallace Nichols, sea turtle biologist and director of the conservation group Wild Coast.
Okay.
So...
Well, that's just nuts.
He's a biologist who studies
Terrible.
sea turtles. He's not a sea turtle who's a biologist.
Thank you, Dennis, for that clarification. What's next in the news? You have something you want people to explain to you.
I do! This is my regular column. Can somebody explain this to me?
Okay.
This is a bad one, y'all. You're not going to believe this. Okay. A parish Catholic parish in, where are they? Alpena, which is it's either in or near Detroit. I must apologize for my ignorance about the area of Detroit, but I believe Alpena might be a suburb of Detroit. But anyway, it's either a suburb or another town.
Okay.
This story is from the Detroit Free Press,
yeah.
And last weekend, parishioners learned that their Reverend Gerald Sharilla, who's the head of their parish, in January 1993, he was removed from his position as director of worship. Officials said they had found credible evidence that in the 1970s he had had inappropriate sexual conduct with young men, and there were complaints from 2 men that he had molested them when they were minors.
Yeah.
Now, the parish is basically saying, we don't care.
What do you mean?
This guy, Reverend Sharilla, is the head of their congregation right now. He preaches to them.
And they found out that he
was accused of molesting.
He was actually removed from his post before?
Yes, he was.
But he's sick.
No, apparently not.
And what do you mean they don't care? What are they saying?
They don't care. Here's the direct quote. And we apologize to the people in the chat room who already heard this, but anyway, we're going on.
It's like a good movie. You can watch.
It is.
You
can hear this again.
Go ahead.
Okay, one of the members said, quote, "We're not in the position of crucifying people," unquote. And another clergy member called the molestation charges against Sharilla, quote unquote, ancient history.
Okay.
And asked why it was being dredged up. Now, I think this is the whole thing we're seeing with the whole, recent scandals involving sexual molestation. We hear this over and over again. We hear people saying, it's in the past, it's not something we need to talk about. This is something that happened, it's over. Let's just not deal with
pants
it.
Wrong. It's in the pants of these small children. And that what astounds me about this is here we have people who are members of religion that will point at other people and say, because you are not a member of our special club, you get to burn in eternal torment forever. In whatever form they think that takes, right? You will suffer an eternity of torment just for not being one of us.
Uh-huh.
And they got the gall to say, and that's for eternity, right? Once it's happened, you can't say, okay, I believe in him now.
There's no appeal.
There's no appeal. You get to suffer eternal torment. You have the gall to say that just because it's been a few decades since this guy last put his hands down some kid's pants, that it doesn't matter.
Yep. That's what they're saying. Yeah. They're willing to look the other way and have this guy lead their...
When it's one of them.
I'm not interested in what they're saying. I'm interested in what they're doing. Are they leaving their children in this guy's care?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That would be an extremely important item.
Is it covered in the story?
Why is the story not covering that? That's the obvious question one would ask.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I don't know. It says, though, that Declan DeMeyer, who alleged in 1993 that Sharilla molested him on several occasions when DeMeyer was between ages 9 and 17, said he was saddened to learn from a Free Press article that Sharilla had been assigned a parish. DeMeyer, now a 39-year-old carpenter, sued Sharilla in 1993, seeking damages from the priest and the Archdiocese of Detroit. The case was dismissed in 1999 because the allegations of abuse were too old, exceeding Michigan's statute of limitations.
Oh, good grief. Escape on a technicality.
Yeah.
Really nice. That's good.
Isn't it wonderful?
That's excellent.
Yeah. So,
if Christianity simply included a statute of limitations on sins, so spend some, relatively reasonable finite amount of time in eternal torment. and then they let you out, then I wouldn't call Christianity the most evil belief system I've ever heard of. But they don't do that.
No.
Mm.
No.
What else you got for news?
Moving along, well, here's another misguided story, and this is not quite in context of religious news, but it's pretty damn close. The White House, the Bush administration, has proposed spending $200 million on federal efforts and is encouraging states to spend $100 million more to promote marriage and ease poverty.
Whoa. How many? We did the math, right? It's like
700 million.
Yeah.
Is that what we figured out? It's a huge amount of money.
Well, 700 million. Well, no, not 700. It'd be a lot more than that. 200 million in other words, the feds would kick in 200 million.
And then you get 50 states each giving
100 million.
5,000.
Now, I don't know if that's per state 100 million or if it's 100 million for all 50 states.
All right, so it's between 300 million and $5 billion.
Yeah.
Wait up.
To ease poverty?
Yeah. Why don't you just give them the money like you were saying earlier?
Sure. I mean, the White House, of course, has already worked out the bugs in giving away big piles of money, right? They've done it before. They know how. Just give that money to the people that need it. That is math.
700 million.
700 million.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay. If it's per state.
Yeah,
if it's per state. 100 million per state.
But what on earth it is none of the White House's business whether people are married or not.
No, it's not.
None of their damn business.
It's not.
Not at all. Period.
Nope.
None of their business. So why do they think it is?
Well, here's what one guy has to say. Yeah. This guy, Jeff Kemp, this article, by the way, is out of the New Tribune news service from Tacoma, Washington. Mm-hmm. But Jeff Kemp is executive director of the Bellevue, Washington-based Families Northwest, and he supports the government's proposal as a step in turning a cultural tide. He says the institution...
So what? Wait a minute. When a culture is going somewhere, leave it the hell alone.
Yeah.
Right? That is the business of the people in that culture, to decide where their culture is heading. Mm-hmm. Just because it's different from what you're used to, it's none of your damn business, right? You can say that you don't like it. You can try to convince people to agree with you that it's bad, right? You can't take federal funds. You can't take everybody's money, right? That $700 million is going to come right out of the pockets of people who are taking their culture in that direction because that's where they want to go. Mm-hmm. These people are taking the money out of the pockets of the people who want to take their culture in that direction and saying, no, we are going to spend this money to stop you from taking your culture in that direction. That's horrible. What else?
It is. It's horrible. For the opposite perspective, we also have, or the article cites a woman by the name of Stephanie Coons. She's a co-chairwoman of the Council on Contemporary Families.
Yeah.
And she and Nancy Fulbray, Nancy is a professor of economics at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Yeah. They recently released a report stating that the lack of marriage is sometimes a symptom rather than a root cause of poverty. Encouraging people to marry without giving them long-term support systems may do more harm than good, they say. And that seems pretty obvious. In Washington, never-married single-parent families comprise about 39% of the public assistance caseload in January 2002, according to figures from the Department of Social Health Services.
But you don't get them off those rolls by forcing them to get married.
I know.
That doesn't make them not poor.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't, and I'm with you. And the other thing that Kemp says, which also doesn't make sense, because there are no direct statistics to support this, he cites research that unmarried women are much more likely to be abused by their partners than women who are married.
What research?
I don't know. The article doesn't even... The article just says that he cites this research, but it doesn't say where the research comes from or who did the study or anything.
Right. Right. There may actually be studies that show a thing like that, or, I don't know, because they won't tell us. But even if it's true, right, if our culture is moving in a direction where people want to have those kinds of problems in their lives because of making the decisions that they want to make, those are their problems to bring upon themselves. That's what they want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think that people need to know if it is true that you're more likely to get beat up if you're a woman that shacks up with a guy rather than getting married to him. It is important for people to have that information, but it is none of the government's business to come in and spend money on a big advertising campaign to make you feel bad, right? Talking to the single woman now, right? To make her feel worse. Because now we're going to have posters all over the place saying, get married, it's better. Mm-hmm. It's none of their damn business.
No, it's not.
Yep.
And it's really...
just say no. We didn't have posters of people on at the altar. No, people at the altar, a couple in the dress and the tux and everything. And they got the flowers and the ring and the woman with her mouth open and it says, just say no.
Hyper Puppy in the chat room made a good point. He said, if this is effective, all that will happen is that the statistic will change so that now married women are the ones who are getting beat up.
Right, and I see Hyper Puppy taking exception to my use of the phrase "shacked up." I am all in favor of shacked up. If I had my way, we should have political candidates suggesting that we should spend $700 million to promote shacking up. I mean, it's really none of the government's business, but at least we should cover, both ends of the spectrum. That is what democracy is all about. We should have candidates who are offering us that option.
Now, of course, we've got the administration saying, get married. But, of course, they're also saying, but not if you're the same sex.
Yeah.
A separate issue, but it's kind of related.
It's pretty related.
Or different colors.
Or different colors.
Yeah.
Because of course,
you can't have that.
went to Bob Jones University, where they make a big deal about you can't have interracial dating because that would lead to world peace, and we can't have world peace because that will stop Jesus from coming back.
Oh.
I want to make one more point on this, and the article doesn't say this, but clearly this ties in so well with religion because, again, which groups are the ones saying, "Oh, we need to promote marriage, damn it, because it's for the sanctity of the family and the sanctity of human life and everything else," and they try to lump all this stuff in together and say that gays can't get married because that goes against the Bible.
There are cultures out there where you can cite statistics showing that the more wives a man has, the wealthier he is. Therefore, I think our government needs to embrace those statistics and just spend $700 million to promote polygamy. Right? There you go. If there's clear statistics showing that the wealthier, the more wives you have, the wealthier you are. Wow! In some cultures where they allow that.
Yes, if we just ignore the cause and effect,
sure, it works great. Well, they're already ignoring cause and effect.
Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's segue to the other story you have about Bob Jones University.
Huh? Oh boy. Oh yeah, that's right. Bob Jones. This is Bob Jones III now, right?
Yeah.
Grandson of the original Bob Jones.
Bob Jones III Esquire.
He is the president.
Still a fundy. But anyway.
Bob Jones III now wants to be called a preservationist rather than a fundamentalist.
Not a fundy?
Because he wants to shed the fundamentalist label because the term has been redefined as terrorism in the minds of many since September 11. He now wants to be called a preservationist. He wants the word preservationist to describe... The word preservationist now will describe Christians with a fierce belief in the Bible's literal inerrant truth.
I say sorry, if the Nike fits.
I'm just amazed.
Now that I hear that story for the fourth time or so, it occurs to me that maybe he's not objecting to the reputations that fundamentalist Christians have gotten for themselves.
Oh, no, of course not.
But
no, just the word.
Fundamentalist Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the tragedy, everybody's talking about, fundamentalist terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's thinking, we don't want to be lumped in with those people.
Right, but Bob Jones does not understand is that he's not lumped in with them because the word fundamentalist is applied to both Christians and Muslims. He's lumped in with them because both his kind of Christian and that kind of Muslim have a fierce belief in their holy book's literal inerrant truth.
Right. That's what it means, fundamentalism.
But what astounds me about it is, here we are, atheists, right?
Right.
And we have amongst ourselves people who are saying, maybe we shouldn't use the A word because it's got this negative connotation attached to it.
Right.
And I say, well, enjoy, Bob Jones. Enjoy having the word that you were used to using to describe yourself turned into a subject of derision. Enjoy. Right. It is time for you to experience some of your own side's medicine.
Experience the same joy that we have experienced with the word atheist.
That's right.
Not to mention the word liberal.
Liberal. Yeah, that too.
Right.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
So, instead of fundamentalism, instead of fundamentalism defining us as steadfast Christian believers, the new term now carries overtones of radicalism and terrorism, writes Jones in his President's Corner on the university's website. Fundamentalist evokes fear, suspicion, and other repulsive connotations in its current usage. That's right.
Yeah.
Of course, I've always been repulsed by the term fundamentalist because I always understood what the hell it meant.
Yeah, just ask Andrea Yates.
And frankly, people think that all kinds of impulsive connotations are connected to the word atheist because they don't understand what it means.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Jones writes that the university remains unashamedly fundamentalist, but accuses the media...
Doesn't he mean preservationist?
But accuses the media... Doesn't he mean ashamedly fundamentalist, since he wants to change the term? But accuses the media of lumping Christian fundamentalists with Islamic fundamentalists. It is time, he contends, for a new label. Moron. That's the label I got.
Yeah.
Do you have more? Are we going to switch back and forth here, or should we...
I've got one more.
All right.
This story comes out of Orange County, California, and the American Red Cross decided to apologize after they offended some students from Orange County High School who decided not to perform after the Red Cross objected to its heroes trilogy, which included singing God Bless the USA and Prayer of the Children.
Uh-huh.
So,
the big question is, does the Red Cross get federal funds?
See, I wish I knew. My guess would be yes, but if anybody
that,
knows, that would really help
like
us.
To know. Okay.
But let's assume, let's take it from,
there were complaints and they apologized.
There were 1,200 happy emails and as many as 500 calls from as far away as New York and Texas.
Yeah.
And the spokesperson, Lynn House, said that, quote, "We stand behind our principles, but perhaps this decision was the wrong decision," unquote.
Well, what are their principles then?
Yeah, what are
See,
their principles?
I think they ought to get the Puss of a Week award because, I just think that here they were saying, no, we don't want to allow these songs to be sung because we don't want to be insensitive to religious diversity.
That's what they said?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They said that their objections were made out of quote-unquote sensitivity to religious diversity.
That seems like a fine
principle. Which seems like a fine principle, absolutely. Right. And, they're not saying, well, we support Christians. They're not saying, well, we support atheists. They're just saying, we don't want this to become a message of any religion.
Right.
This is a human message, not an agenda message.
And they got complaints?
And they got complaints, and then
so they apologized.
Then they apologized.
They apologized for applying their perfectly reasonable principles.
Right. It's sickening. People need to frickin' think about what they're doing.
You lost your temper a little bit right there.
It makes me so mad.
It's too hard to think about things like that.
Oh, yeah? Try these. Well, actually, let's save the good stories, the happy stories for the end, and go straight into craziness. Teachers proposing book ban in Kentucky.
Yeah,
this is teachers now.
Sound like teachers.
This is teachers saying, "You got to ban us some books." Russell Springs. Russell. Russell. Named after you. Named after
no relation.
A teacher prayer group. Well, there's a problem right there. A teacher's prayer group is involved in an effort to get dozens of books dealing with ghosts, cults, and witchcraft reviewed for possible removal from the library at Russell County High School. God revealed to the group. I love the journalism here. God revealed to the group that the presence of the books was one reason his manifested presence. At least they put scare quotes around that. Manifested presence.
I think allegedly should be in that.
They should have put quotes around God.
Yeah. or revealed. The presence of the books was one reason his manifested presence hadn't yet come to the school to change the hearts and minds of students, according to a letter from one member of the group. He cannot come into a place that is corrupted, the letter said, and we must not allow for these books to continue polluting the minds of our teenagers.
He cannot come into a place that is corrupted?
Right.
Isn't he omnipotent?
He's not. He's lost his omnipotent status, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, if God can set bushes on fire, can't he set these books on fire all by himself?
Sorry,
the teachers have to gather the bushes or the books for them.
That's fine.
I hate to interrupt, but I got a call from work and I got to go.
show?
Yes.
Ex Nihilo?
Oh my God, there's a lot of slack for me to take up now.
Russell will sit in.
Okay.
Good. Okay, Mary.
See y'all.
See you next time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh no.
The letter identified a list of more than 50 book titles that may need to be removed, including World's Most Famous Ghosts by Daniel Cohen, The Witchcraft of Salem Village by Shirley Jackson, and the Harry Potter books by J.K. Rowling.
Good guess.
Yeah, what a shock.
What, somebody called Harry
Somebody
Potter?
said, yes, Harry Potter.
Of course. Now, it was amongst them, but they 50 books, I mean. But then I'm sure they were getting into, things by Mark Twain and stuff
Of course.
at that point.
Yeah.
Anything
they didn't like.
Filtering software, the religious connection. Your home, your values, your internet. Help maintain LDS values while you use the internet. LDS being the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. Here's another quote. As a Christian portal to the web, we recognize that the number one issue for the Christian community is using the web safely and responsibly. That's why we've recently launched Crossing Guard, the only free server-level, continuously updated web filtering solution available.
Oh boy.
Here's another quote. The American Family Filter is built on the Christian principle of holiness and living a pure life. American Family Filter stands apart from other blocking software, employing a uniquely Christian approach to our content filtering. We adhere to a higher standard because the American Family Filter is a ministry first and foremost, and therefore we are accountable to a higher authority for the product we produce. That is a statement from the American Family Filter website. One more. Quote, we use a sophisticated server-based filtering process to eliminate objectionable material. We filter out the standard offensive material, pornography, profanity, and violence. In addition, we uphold our own set of standards, biblical standards. On the 71.net website. What do all of these conservative religious internet service providers have in common? They all using filtering products that are also being used in U.S. public schools. There's a whole study on this that is posted at this website. Netizen, Netizen, uoregon.edu/documents/religious2, that's numeral 2, .html, and I will hand that to Russell so
Why
he
don't
can,
you do it?
because
okay.
It's too far away. For years it has been known that filtering software, some filtering software, is produced by religionists.
Oh yeah.
And that it is not always clear when you buy the package that it is religious in nature, and that people wind up using this stuff and discover that they cannot get to, for example, the National Organization of Women website. Mm-hmm. Or certainly not American atheists.
Certain political agendas are
right.
completely eliminated.
Liberal, democratic political groups are... Now, you did not bring me back my page of news stories, Russell.
Sorry.
Thank you.
There's actually something that may be marginally relevant to this. My father can't listen to this show live because the Atheist Network is screened by his free internet access, which he gets through the government. But I'm not really sure this is an atheist thing because I've looked at the hosting site and there's a small picture of boobs on there somewhere.
Yeah, but a filter is not able to look at a picture and know what it's a picture of. Now, if the word tits is in the description of the picture of the boobs,
there may be a link to some other site.
Well, right. Then there is something for a...
Obviously, we are objectionable material.
Apparently.
Well, certainly, by many people's standards. And these are not the standards that parents ought to be caring about, right? Mm-hmm. If parents want their children not to know anything about sex, then they should have filters that keep their children from seeing stuff about sex.
What if parents want their children not to know anything about atheists? Gotcha there.
Or black people.
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't know.
But it's not like the school consulted with the parents.
But that's not the schools are not consulting with the parents, and the schools, by and large, may be unaware the filtering software that they are using has this religious bias built into it.
Agenda.
And if you go to that website and read the analysis, it talks about how, part of the way these filter programs work is it's all encrypted. The information on what they don't let you see, right? It's encrypted. So you can't find out what it is they're not going to let you see until you try to go there.
Right.
And so you cannot establish, by just looking at the software, whether there is a clear bias, right? If the word liberal is filtered out, you won't know that, though you may discover that the Democratic Party website, you can't get to, right? If
They wouldn't filter out the word liberal because they'd have to filter out Rush Limbaugh's site. It's probably all over there.
Okay.
I have to be careful.
But that's the thing. It's very difficult to establish what the agenda is, and also documented in this study is that a lot of these websites for the products, you go there, and if you hunt around, you can find out that there's a religious slant to the filtering. But if you don't hunt around, if you just are looking for something from some group that sounds kind of reputable, then they will not tell you that you're going to get a religious bias in your web filtering.
Yep.
Okay, now, here is something horrible. Saudi Arabia's religious police stopped schoolgirls from leaving a burning building because the girls were not wearing correct Islamic dress, according to several Saudi newspapers. In a rare criticism of the kingdom's powerful Mutaween police, the Saudi media accused them of hindering attempts to save 15 girls who died in the fire on Monday.
Now, see, these are the kind of fundamentalists that Bob Jones wishes that didn't have the same name as him.
Though he did wish he could be as fundamentalist as they are.
Yeah, he wishes he could get away with it.
Yeah.
800 pupils were inside the school in the holy city of Mecca when the tragedy occurred, according to I'm not going to try to pronounce this word. Yes, I will.
Go ahead.
Ectisdia. This is a newspaper. Firemen confronted police after they tried to keep the girls inside because they were not wearing the headscarves and abayas required by the kingdom's strict interpretation of Islam. One witness said he saw 3 policemen beating young girls to prevent them from leaving the school because they were not wearing the abaya. The Saudi Gazette quoted witnesses as saying that the police, known as the Commission for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice...
Sounds very Orwellian.
It sounds very Christian. Has stopped men who tried to help the girls and warned it's sinful to approach them. The father of one of the dead girls said that the school watchman even refused to open the gates to let the girls out. Lives could have been saved had they not been stopped by members of the Commission for Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice, the newspaper concluded. Now, that's not happening here.
Well,
not a lot we can do about that here. But remember the opening music of today's show, warning sign by the Talking Heads? This is a warning sign, folks. This is the kind of things you get when you have government and religion becoming one and the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They start enforcing these stupid-ass, ridiculous little rules about things that have nothing to do with anything other than dogma.
Yeah. But the Christians say that's just the Muslims who would do that.
If the Christians got into this kind of power, if a kid disrespects his parents, be stoned to death.
Yeah, you can find websites by Christians who say, yes, we have to take the entirety of the biblical law. Homosexuals need to be executed. Children that talk back to their parents, executed. I mean, you will find it. It's rare, but that's the reason is they don't have political power here.
Right.
That's why.
That's why they're reaching for it.
That is why they're reaching for it, because they want it. Father shunned by family for defying his faith to save child. From Calgary, Canada. Now, this is the latest installment in a story we have been following. There was a girl in the Jehovah's Witnesses, her parents being devout Jehovah's Witnesses themselves. Their religion does not allow them to accept blood transfusions because of a stupid, insane thing in the Bible about how taking another person's blood is sinful and you won't get to go to heaven. Then we did the follow-up story that the father set aside his stupid religious beliefs and said, letting my daughter continue to live is kind of more important than these supernatural claims. And he signed her up for the blood transfusions. Shunned by the Jehovah's Witnesses he once embraced, he's now a lonely man, ignored by family and friends as if he were a wandering ghost, says this story from Calgary, Canada. I was under tremendous pressure, he said in a recent interview, because I knew that if I went against the church, against what the church taught, that I would be excommunicated. No Jehovah's Witness would ever speak to me again, including my family. His wife now comes home only to do the laundry. His two daughters, 14 and 22, want little to do with him. They have banned him from his daughter's hospital room when witness meetings are piped in over the speakerphone. Meetings occur several times a week, and some last all day. He goes to work in an architectural firm, but is ignored by his friends. It's as though I don't exist. Any Jehovah's witness who challenges such tenets as against blood transfusions, which they believe is set out in several Bible passages, is shunned. When I made the decision with a clear conscience, I went to my daughter's hospital room. My whole family was there, and I told them about my decision, saying, no matter what happens with this case, I still love you, each and every one of you. And their reply, each of them, was, we hate you and will never speak to you again. For saving the life of his daughter.
It's Christian love. I guess we now know what Jesus would do. He'd say, I hate you forever.
Their Jesus would say,
and I'll never speak to you again. That sounds like Jesus, right?
Wow. Mm-hmm. Now, let's do the good news, kind of up the tempo here, up the mood.
There's not much you can say about those last two stories without using all sorts of expletives, It's like...
Here's a good one. And rabbis face facts, Bible tales are winting. This is from the New York Times from a week ago. Abraham, the Jewish patriot, probably never existed, nor did Moses. The entire Exodus story, as recounted in the Bible, probably never occurred. The same is true of the tumbling of the walls of Jericho. And David, far from being the fearless king who built Jerusalem into a mighty capital, was more likely a provincial leader whose reputation was later magnified to provide a rallying point for a fledgling nation. Such startling propositions are the product of findings by archaeologists digging in Israel and its environs over the last 25 years have gained wide acceptance among non-Orthodox rabbis. But there has been no attempt to disseminate these views or to discuss them with the laity until now. The United Synagogue of Conservative Judaism, which represents the 1.5 million conservative Jews in the United States, has just issued a new Torah and commentary, the first conservatives in more than 60 years, called Etz Hayim, the Tree of Life in Hebrew. It offers an interpretation that incorporates the latest findings from archaeology, philology, anthropology, and the study of ancient cultures. To the editors who worked on the book, it represents one of the boldest efforts ever to introduce into the religious mainstream a view of the Bible as a human rather than a divine document.
Now, does anybody seriously think that this will faze fundamentalist Christians one bit? It won't.
I'm sure that they will scream that this proves that Jews are evil.
Yeah, right. They killed Christ.
Absolutely.
Right.
Still, not every brand of Christianity is anti-Semitic. True. A lot of your mainstream Christians are going to have to deal with this now.
Cognitive dissonance.
This is exactly the kind of stuff. Remember when I was telling you about...
I have to respect them for this. I mean, that's
yes.
cool.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But remember the story I have told about my mother, who was a minister, explaining to me she learned all this stuff in seminary, but she can't tell her parishioners because, scare quotes again, they're not ready to know that yet, right? More this kind of stuff gets out, the more those people, more her parishioners are going to find out whether she has the balls to tell them or not.
So, they're ready.
Huh? I'm the shepherd, and they're just little children.
Screw ready. If you keep this kind of stuff secret from people, they will never become ready. There's nothing in Christianity that prepares people for the later revelation that it's all a made-up crock of shit. Right? If Christianity was about preparing people to be able to hear that, well, then, okay, maybe she's got a point. But it's not about that. It's about keeping them unready. And milk in their pockets while you're at it.
But boy, hearing about a religion incorporating recent discoveries and stuff like that, and changing its, a lot of its, dogmas and core beliefs and stuff like that. That's awesome.
Awesome. I've always said, and of course this is my personal bias since I happen to have been raised Jewish, but I've always considered Jews in general to be a lot more willing to critically look at their beliefs and think about the possibility of things like
it's
that.
It's interesting.
Part of the religion.
I've been hearing.
The stereotype of a couple of Hasidic rabbis walking down the street, yelling at each other and waving their arms around. They're arguing about their religion.
Yeah, but in contrast, you've got Christianity, which has the
Bible
shepherd
studies
and flock.
But check this out. You have Judaism, right? Where the rabbis have known for years about stuff, right? What's exciting about this story is that they are putting that information in their Torah now for the people to see. Okay,
that's cool.
And then
any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental.
And then one step down from that, right? You have got the liberal Christians whose pastors know about this stuff. Right, but have not revealed it to their flocks. So I think that Judaism moving one step farther in that direction is going to eventually, probably not immediately, but is going to eventually have to drag liberal Christianity along with it. Cool. So that's great. Here's something else that's great. The court rules churches not protected. From Tallahassee, Florida on Friday. The Constitution's guarantee of religious freedom does not protect churches from lawsuits alleging sexual abuse by the clergy, the Florida Supreme Court ruled on Thursday.
Lest you think anyone was insane enough to actually try and...
Oh, somebody was insane
apparently
enough.
They were insane
in Florida, there were some churches that were insane enough to claim that because there is state-church separation, they cannot be sued.
Right. Is that like diplomatic immunity?
I guess. The court revived two separate cases that lower courts had dismissed because of the constitutional ban on government involvement in religion. Quote,
"It's not religion, it's crime, you idiot."
The First Amendment does not provide a shield behind which a church may avoid liability for negligent hiring and supervision of its clergy members, the court said.
Right.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Here's something else.
What court was this?
This was the Florida Supreme Court. And we're going to have to say Florida in a minute, but not quite yet. Humanist group granted religious tax break. We did this story before. A few weeks ago, we told you that another non-believer group here in Austin, Texas, the Ethical Society of Austin, had received tax-exempt status, but that State Comptroller Carol Keaton Rylander was planning on fighting it because she didn't think they should have it. Travis County, it's gone back to the courts. Travis County Judge Paul Davis has granted religious tax exemption status to the Ethical Society of Austin, a small group of subscribed religious humanists in Austin who hold regular Sunday services, but whose members don't necessarily worship a supreme being. Quote, mandating that an organization require its members to believe in and worship a supreme being in order to qualify as a tax-exempt religious organization violates the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and the Texas Tax Code, he said in a permanent injunction released March 1. In his ruling last week, the judge also ordered the state comptroller's office to pay the society more than $165,000 in attorney fees and costs, and thousands more if the state moves forward with an appeal.
Man, I'm thinking I'm with the wrong group here. How can I get a piece of that?
Probably that the vast majority of that money is going to go to paying the judge, right. State Comptroller Carol Keaton Rylander lamented the court's decision and said she would take the case as far as the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary. Well, I hope she does.
Who knows what I'll get from that one.
Quote from her, as I've said before, I believe very strongly that every cult that dresses up and parades down 6th Street on Halloween will be applying for tax-exempt status. Well, of course they will. And they have every right to, you fundamental
hypocritical bitch.
If you're going to have laws that say religions get tax exemption, it is all religions.
Right, and I hope they do go
it's
through
not faith-based. It's not the term faith-based is not in the Texas Constitution that identifies what a religious organization
But
is.
the whole idea for this faith-based stuff sort of came about while George Bush was our governor, right?
I'm not sure a group of humanists would win on that grounds. See, faith-based does require you to believe in something that doesn't make any sense.
See,
otherwise, it's not faith.
This is exactly the agenda that goes on. I mean, they say, "Oh, we're being persecuted. We need this in our schools, or we need this here and that there." Right. And as soon as somebody else asks, gets that kind of thing, they go, "Oh, we didn't mean them." What the hell is that?
Exactly.
And I think, if they're going to make laws like this or give government money like that, then they should be prepared for witches and Scientologists.
If there's going to be a law, if there's going to be a tax exemption for Satanists, if there's going to be a tax exemption for religionists, then it cannot be applied prejudicially. Right? Period. Of course, there should not be tax exemption for religionists. And therefore, I hope she does take this case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Yep. Which will hopefully stop any state from trying to pull this kind of stunt ever again.
Screw it. I hope that it results in the Supreme Court saying, "Hey, we can't have exemption for religions."
Yeah. Lose it.
Peter D. Kennedy, one of the Society's lawyers, called Rylander's comments shameful. Mm-hmm. He said, "The Ethical Society is made up of deeply religious individuals whose traditions span about 125 years. These are not an off-the-wall bunch of wackos." Doesn't matter, even if they were a bunch of off-the-wall wackos, as long as it's a religion and you're going to have a tax exemption for religion, those off-the-wall wackos should get it too.
That's right.
The Austin Group, which has between 40 and 60 members, describes itself as a humanistic organization inspired by the ethical ideal, the principle that the supreme aim of human life is working to create a more humane society. And that, Davis ruled, is what gives the group its religious status. The court says that the society, in the pursuit of its ethical ideal, acts like a traditional religion and functions as a traditional religious organization for its members.
Right.
He noted that the group holds Sunday worship services, provides Sunday school education for children, and performs life cycle rituals such as weddings, baby naming ceremonies, and memorial services. He said courts in the past have understood worship of the Supreme Being as an element of religion, but not as the linchpin factor. If the rule were otherwise, he said, universally accepted world belief systems such as Buddhism and Taoism, which do not subscribe to a theistic worldview, would not be considered religions.
Yep.
Absolutely right. Man, and is anybody else but me just amazed at how incredibly brilliant a lot of judges are?
Yeah.
I don't know how our system of government that has people electing judges manages to fill the benches with these incredibly wise, perceptive, and thoughtful guys. I don't mean all. Yeah. Obviously exceptions, right?
They do have there's Roy Moore.
But I keep hearing
a huge number of them really understand what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, there are certain qualifications for them, right?
I guess.
That morons on the radio do not have.
I guess. Kennedy said the court's ruling is largely symbolic since the society doesn't own any property and pays little in state taxes. It holds its weekly meetings in a rented space in a community center. So, amazing. Now, biggest news of the week was the atheist license plate in Florida, which we have much to say about.
It's relative.
Now,
we did get like 4 different people emailing us, telling us to run that story.
Did they?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. We did?
Yeah.
Were these people about the radio show? Is that 4 more emails we got about the radio show that I haven't seen?
Because
we got it like 4.
They didn't mention the radio show specifically. They just sent me the news story and said, "Are you guys going to do this story?" I could have been talking about the TV
here's the deal.
show.
The state said last Thursday that a Gainesville, Florida man can keep his personalized license plate that says atheist.
Good.
Prompted by complaints, the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles declared last month that the tag was obscene or objectionable and ordered Stephen Miles to ship it back.
It's nice to know that I'm obscene and objectionable.
Miles called the American Civil Liberties Union instead, After a story about the recall appeared in Thursday's St. Petersburg Times, a DMV spokesman said department higher-ups had reversed a supervisor's decision to cancel the tag. The complaint that sparked the DMV's initial disapproval, a typed letter dated February 11, quote, "We are all Florida residents, and we saw the Florida tag atheist on a vehicle the other day. We are writing to say we find this tag offensive and we do not think it should be on a vehicle." It was signed by 12 people. Now that's interesting. Different stories.
12 people.
I've heard reports of this story that say 10 people. I've heard 12. Either way, man, that's a tiny number of people.
Really?
Attempts to reach those with legible signatures were unsuccessful. I thought that was a very nice touch in the story.
Nice.
Both of them?
As news of the DMV's initial decision to cancel the tag spread Thursday across the internet, Miles received an electronic show of support, much of it from atheists. Miles is an electrical engineer at the University of Florida and vice president of Atheists of Florida. So that was awesome. I mean, the whole thing blew over the internet that anybody heard about it.
Right.
And now.
Yeah, I think it was reported on Wednesday, and then the case was over.
They got into the newspapers on. Yeah, right. So it's hard to know for sure exactly what was motivating the person who rejected at the DMV who decided this is sufficient complaint. They have one of the stories I saw did say that they had revoked a religious license plate once that said because of complaint, it said "Son, O God." Now maybe it just wasn't respectful enough for some people. I don't know.
I heard they'd revoked one once, which with a couple of cleverly placed number 3s. So when you look at the whole message in your rear view mirror, it says "Eat me."
Right. Yeah, and they're clearly naughty ones have been rejected. And whether that ought to happen either, I think, is open to question.
I also heard one thing where they had a simple policy that if they get enough complaints about any one thing, boom, it's not just a matter of policy. And
what I've not covered in the news story is that apparently what the DMV is now emailing to all the people who have written in to complain to them, that they are setting up a system whereby when they receive a complaint, then they will have people review it. Right. It won't just automatically get yanked.
And, it's not like all censorship is evil, especially in a public forum like license plates. I mean, there are kids that are on the road who are perfectly capable of reading if a license plate said "F you,"
But I thought just a second ago you were arguing that you should be able to have
spit it out, Jeff.
That you should be able to impose censorship against stuff like that if you're a parent. Wait a minute. What am I saying? No, I did lose track of that. Back when we were on the subject of the filtering software.
Yes.
Right. And I was saying, I understand that maybe people should be able to filter out, naughty stuff. And you said, well, what if parents want their children not to encounter atheism? And if that's the standard, right? If it's anything the parents don't want their children to know about, then they should go forward, take this license plate away from the guy. There are parents who say it's a public forum and I don't want my children to see the A word, right?
Got me there.
Then, because it's those children on the same basis, or the parents on the same basis are saying, I don't want my little boy looking in the rear view mirror and seeing "Eat me," right?
Well, I'm for getting rid of the "Eat me" license.
Yeah, why?
Because you don't want to. I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough. I don't know.
What do they mean? Eat me.
It's very difficult. I think everybody, if you push them far enough, will find something that they think is over a line. Right. But where that line should be, is so questionable that it's hard to even draw one.
Well, should people be protected from any chance of being offended?
No. I am generally of the opinion that they should not.
So you think we should have license plates with the F word on them?
I'm saying it's hard to see why the people taking offense is a valid reason to take it off. You know? I mean, and if it is, then it's hard to see where to draw the line on that.
Well,
what are the commonly accepted things that we all don't want to see on license plates? I mean, how do you determine that?
Get enough people to say the license plate YJK252 offends me.
Right.
They say, why? I don't know, it just does.
That's why we have this really nebulous local community standards rule in our obscenity laws, right? Mm-hmm. Because what that really means is majority dictates what is going to be considered objectionable, and the problem is that directly walks all over the free speech rights of the minority.
Right. What do you do?
Sure.
Tough call.
I don't know. I am generally of the opinion that we should not have censorship at all.
Mm-hmm.
That naughty magazines should not be behind the counter at 7-Eleven. They should be in with the other magazines. That people should be able to say fuck on their license plates if that's what they want. It's shocking and makes me nervous even saying it, but why should my standards of what I might find disturbing dictate what other people are allowed to do?
Be imposed on anyone else. Yeah.
I don't know. But then of course the forces who want to control speech will start resorting to stuff like that guy in Mary's story about the White House pro-marriage effort, right? They'll start citing reports that say, why, it's healthier for you if you get married. And then they'll try to play it like a public health issue. You were saying, Russell?
It's healthier for you.
I'm thinking, one thing is, you're not a parent and have no intention to be. Is that right?
That is correct. I have had the operation to make sure that I will not be a parent.
Right. Ginny and
Though I could, if I had the money, I could go and reverse it.
Ginny and I actively screen certain things from our kids.
Right.
We try to avoid letting them see too many movies
like
that have
decapitations and
or
spillings and
or very graphic sex acts, that sort of thing. And we
mildly graphic. I know what you mean. I'm just trying to get you to blush.
We are able to do that, and this stuff doesn't happen in public.
Right. But you're only able to do that because this stuff doesn't happen in public.
Let me point out that I personally don't have a problem with pornography or violence. I think, hey, look, naked people, cool.
I generally don't like it at the same time, but some people do.
But we don't. We would like our kids to be able to be gradually introduced to these concepts, not hidden from them, but not have them walk into a store and say, hey, look, Mommy, this magazine, what are they doing?
Intercourse.
I don't forget the mild magazines.
That's called? Okay.
That's called, oh my God, what is that
Can I try that too?
I thought that was impossible.
Very, very, very tough.
It is a different
because I don't want to walk on your right to raise your kids the way you want to either. But where are the studies that are telling us that these cultural norms that we have are really necessary? That's one of the things I'm curious about. Yeah. We got a lot of assumptions about what we have to protect one another from, but a lot of that just tradition, just handed down from our forefathers and what they were willing to talk about or show in public.
Mm-hmm.
As Mary read in her story, why our society is moving in a certain direction right now. I don't know.
And I should point out that contrary to most of what the popular culture says, I think we're more lenient about sex than about violence. So, I mean, Charles commenting
that makes
there.
A lot of sense.
Charles commenting there that it's all screwed up. That
Charles writing a blue streak.
Yeah, really. Sorry, nobody else is there to chat with you, Charles. I was at the keyboard until Mary left.
Wow.
But anyway.
Well, it's tough, and we're probably going to solve it right here.
No.
Right.
Let's move on. Yes.
Just one thing. I wonder. Listening to the story of that Jehovah's Witness, was it? Who was shunned by his family. Yeah. I wonder if, atheists should give him a show of support.
Yeah.
And say, you want to talk to us? We'll be happy to talk to you.
That was my first reaction. But you know what? His identity is
secret.
It has been made secret by the courts.
Well, you know what else? If he gets an outpouring of email from people saying, I'm an atheist and I support what you did, his reaction will be, oh my God, what have I done?
I don't know. I can't imagine that he has a rosy view of religion at the moment.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, you don't even have to. If I knew who he was, I would give him a show of support, whether I told him what my views were about religion or not. I mean, that's he is a person. He's a victim of religiosity. He did the right thing, and he's getting treated like crap for it. Let's move on to another license plate story, shall we?
Sure.
Okay.
Another license plate.
House approves choose life license program.
Yes.
Measure now goes to the Senate. This is a state House and Senate, right? Mm-hmm. This is not federal. Oklahoma City abortion foes hope to hit the road with choose life license plates that. And that has prompted lawsuits from pro-choice activists in other states. The Oklahoma House voted 97-0 to create the program. The specialized license plate would cost $25. All but $5 would be placed in a Choose Life grant assistance program administered.
That would be 80%, right?
Right. 80% of the money goes to this program administered by the Department of Human Services. So it is a religious position, right? It's a religious position objecting to the law which says you can have an abortion.
Right.
This is a government government department collecting money to fight a law that is on the books.
It's hard to imagine a more obvious example of
grants. Okay, and that's where the money's going to go. Grants would be provided to nonprofit groups that provide counseling and assistance to pregnant women considering placing their newborns in adoption. Okay, but then shouldn't the plates say choose to adopt? This is not about adoption. This is about attacking abortion.
Right.
Similar programs have been created in Florida, Louisiana, and South Carolina, but opponents have sued in each of those states, and Louisiana and South Carolina are under court injunction not to put the plates until legal issues are resolved. But you know who's really making out like a bandit in all this is lawyers.
Well, yeah.
As usual.
Lawyers must be just thrilled, beside themselves with joy, that the religionists are trying to pull all these stunts that violate the Constitution. Because it's money, money, money.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all this money.
Doesn't matter win or lose.
The lawsuits claim the programs are unfair without providing a plate for the other side of the abortion date. Yeah, okay. Of course, if every point of view is going to get its own license plate, that could get a little ugly.
Right.
That's right.
But, I mean, you can have a license plate advertising choose life, not, hey, I'm an atheist.
The measure's author, Representative Thad Balkman, Republican, no, he's a Republican, said he does not expect a court challenge to the Oklahoma program, despite the fact that it's been challenged in several states.
Right.
To those who are opposed to it, I say they're entitled to run their own tag, Faulkman said. Yeah, you think that other points of view opposed to this are going to win a 97-0 vote in the Oklahoma House? No.
I wonder
he's saying that because he knows that he's got the majority on his side, and only his views are going to get on the license plate.
Might makes right.
I wonder if he expect opposition if he issued license plates.
When did our elected officials forget about how the law works? When did they forget that we have a constitution to protect the rights of minorities? Is that like on the party platform of the Republican Party? We will not put you. We will not pick a nominee who who understands what the Constitution is about, because none of them do. Like none of them. It's unbelievable. It's all, if most of us can vote to pass a thing, why then it's right. As long as we can be in the majority, we are right.
Screw the minority.
Downer. See, I saved that end so we could do it after the other license plate story. But I wanted to have the happy we win kind of stories. We will in first.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes. Now, where are we in the program?
Well,
remember we started an hour late today.
We've more like 20 minutes late.
Well, okay,
actually, but so we're like an hour and 10 minutes after that.
Oh, so we got about 20 minutes left.
Yeah, we could wrap it up anytime. It's our choice.
No, let's go on. Fill up a full program for those people that are going to listen to it.
What shall we talk about?
Most of our listeners are probably people who do not come in and watch it live.
Okay.
We could talk about all the mail we got last week.
That's true.
We got an astounding amount of fan mail last week. Didn't we?
Yes, we did.
I mean more than our TV show. Well, 4 letters is astounding. For us, for a relatively new show, this is only our 15th episode, I think. And compared to our TV show, where we get 1 or 2 mails a week.
Every couple of weeks.
Yeah. So that was surprising. I thought,
of course, our TV show is a very different audience. I mean, we get a lot of Christians who randomly surf in, and so about half the letters we receive are telling us, you better accept Jesus.
Or maybe it's simply the fact that anybody who wants to tell us something can call into the show.
Yeah,
get
that
too.
System.
Still, I'm very, very pleased. And last week we also had a quite healthy number of people in the chat room. It's a little light today, but I've begun advertising our show on the Alt Atheism News Group, and some man is typing some crazy shit.
I don't know.
What? I don't know what he's talking about. What am I saying? I was in the middle of saying we're talking about this now on the Alt Atheism News Group, and word's getting out, and we've got a growing following, so we're very gratified.
Yeah.
Brian from Pittsburgh wrote to us to question us on our comments about quantum physics. A few weeks ago, I was talking about an email debate I'm having with a fellow who describes himself as a Thomist, meaning he is a fan of Thomas Aquinas, who had this set of 5 ideas that were supposed to prove that there's a God, among which was the idea that all things are caused by other things, and so if you trace the chain of events back, there has to be an initial cause that started everything, and that has to be uncaused so that we don't have an infinite regress, and that the uncaused cause is called God. And I pointed out to him that as a current understanding of quantum physics is that quantum events are not caused. And since there can be uncaused events in nature, that destroys that part of Aquinas' argument. Yes,
the best description I heard of why scientists say that quantum events are uncaused is that they can measure when for instance, a radioactive particle, an atom, decays. They say that nothing caused that decay. Right. And the reason they can say that is because they can measure the energy of the debris from the decay.
And there's none extra.
To such a fantastic degree of accuracy that they can tell that there is no energy left over.
Right.
So there was no input from outside. There was no nudge that kicked it over. It just boom.
Right.
Okay.
And you responded to this, and you brought up some good points in your response to him. I'd like you to say what they are. Only Brian knows them so far.
What I said is that what was astounding about quantum physics, and something that Einstein actually rebelled against when he was developing the theory.
So counterintuitive.
Well, of course it is. And actually, Feynman, the great Nobel Prize-winning physicist, had opened up his series of lectures on quantum physics by saying something along the lines of, and nobody really understands this stuff, and if you think you do understand it, then, you understand it less than anybody else. But, one of the astounding things about quantum physics is that it was discovered that there are no hidden variables. There are no things that we just don't know about yet. The fact is that things work based on probability distribution and not on one thing definitely leads to another.
Right. So there is a probability that there's this X amount of probability over this amount of time that this other thing will happen. And sometime in that period of time, it happens.
Right.
And then this guy, he actually opened up his letter by saying, aren't you worried that kind of argument will be taken over by theists and used to say, well, if there's an uncaused event, that means God is doing it.
No.
And I say, I don't worry about what theists say, because I already know that no matter what kind of thing science reveals, they'll say, oh, well, that's consistent with God, or, oh, well, that's not real.
It doesn't, the idea of uncaused quantum events does not help Christianity. They are trying to take advantage of it. I've read articles about this recent movement to try to claim that science has found justification for religious belief, and one of the claims they make is that, well, God could use quantum events as his way of interacting with the universe. Well, fine. Show us some quantum events that play out according to an obvious plan, right? And are not just the collapse of these probability fields. Show us that. Can you? No. So, they will claim that anything is proof, right?
Right.
I mean, on airplane crashes, everybody dies, but it didn't hit a house. It's a miracle. Airplane crashes, everybody dies except for, one guy on board. It's a miracle.
Yeah, not as much as it would be a miracle if that plane had crashed in the first place.
Right, or it crashed and nobody died.
Right.
So, they're completely full of shit. So don't worry about what the science actually says.
Right.
Is justifiable to say about
theists can change their position according to whatever's going on. You remember at one time theists were persecuting, the church was persecuting Galileo. And nowadays, the creationists say, "Oh, well, we're more like Galileo, and the scientific establishment is like the church back then." Just no sense of irony there.
No. Saint Maul wrote in to praise the show, and thank you very much for your letter. He's a fellow Chicago area person, as Dennis also is, right?
What's that now?
You were from the Chicago area originally?
Yes, I am.
As was Mallrat. And he told us about this guy, Hal Turner, who's got an internet audio show. I went and looked at and he was trying to talk us to going and having a debate with him. Well, if we get to be at the point where Christians come to us and want to debate us, then we'll have a good laugh and maybe we'll follow through. But, let's see. A fellow named Jeff wanted to get some background info on Jeff Dees. No, it's not Jeff Dees. It's Jeff D. No S on the end.
Okay.
And we'll send him my URL, which is www.io.com/unigames/index.html if you need to type that part in. That's my personal homepage, but He was asking you specifically about my game material. For that, you want to put, instead of index, you want to put unigames.html, and that is my game publishing company. Andy wrote a suggestion for another line in the song that I sang last week, rewriting Ashcroft's, our intrepid Attorney General, John Ashcroft's song, Let the Mighty Eagles Soar. He said...
now available on our archives.
And he said we should add the line, for big business, I'm a whore.
That works.
That's not too bad. You kind of like...
bringing that Enron thing. That's right.
Thank you very much, all of you who wrote in, for your support. We appreciate each and one of you. I don't really want to get into the consciousness loading and cryonics and life extension discussion that we were having last week, because Mary is the
one dissenting voice.
Well, she is the main dissenting voice. I haven't really talked a lot with Russell about this stuff, but I know, Dennis, you and I are both transhumanists. We are ready to have our robot bodies anytime they can put us in.
I'm already in a robot body. It just happens to be made of meat. As a result, it's not very...
I'll probably just set that aside for a week.
While we were still on the mail subject, I'd like to say hi to Kyle, who I had a short email exchange, if he's out there. I was listening to the Bible Answer Man this week.
Where are you?
Hank Hanegraaff. And this guy named Lee Strobel was on, who I've heard before. He wrote something called The Case for Christ, which is a terrible apologetics book that everybody thinks is great. And this lady called in, and she says that her nephew has been giving her problems because he's a staunch atheist, and she gave him this book to change his mind. And in reply, she got a 10-page email, which was a rebuttal chapter 1. So then he went on to write refute the rest of the book, pretty much page by page.
You have to think about it.
And submit the whole thing to infidels.org. And when I heard about that, I, of course, went and tracked him down and said hi, and I heard it and read your rebuttal, and it was great. So he said, I'll have to listen to the show sometime, and I hope you do.
Cool. Well, maybe he hasn't. That mirrors my experience with my mom, who sent me Christian propaganda for Christmas.
Well, according to Lee Strobel, his eyes are blinded to the truth, and then he told this long, sappy story about his father-in-law having a deathbed conversion because Strobel prayed for him every day.
Racking up prizes in, picking up a score in dead people, I don't think is a terribly persuasive argument.
Yeah.
I had a similar situation with my mom. She sent me this book, The Hand of God, which is a collection of Hubble Space Telescope images. I imagine Mr. was rolling in his grave.
Just as bad as boat rides.
Accompanied by these out-of-context quotes hinting that just because the universe is pretty, that therefore there's a God. And I called my mom to express my displeasure, and as a result, we agreed that we would go ahead and read each other's stuff and then have a discussion about it. Yeah. So I sent her Dan Barker's book, Losing Faith in Faith. And in my next phone conversation with her, she said, yes, well, I'm not reading it straight through, and when I have questions, I look it up. So in other words, she reneged on her half of the deal. I don't mean to slam my mom. I mean, I've criticized her twice today on this show.
You don't want to be stoned to death, dude.
But I feel sorry for my mom that she was raised in a culture where this was the state stuff to believe, and that she has now outlived that, and we're moving toward more and more evidence that it's all a crock. And yet she's already indoctrinated, and there's not a whole lot she can do. I just wish, I'm only frustrated because I wish she'd shut up about it. I wish she'd just have her beliefs and leave me alone.
Here's something. Did you point out to her that the universe is beautiful because of its unimaginable violence?
No, but that's a good point.
That's a good point.
All those pretty telescope pictures, those are explosions.
Those are remnants of explosions.
That's like watching an action film.
That's right. There's more explosions than in a Schwarzenegger movie.
The kinds of films that Christians despise.
That's right.
Because there's too violence in them. That's a good point. Very, very good point.
Thank you.
Of course, God is the big, Mr. not responsible for his actions. So he can kill stuff. Yeah. He can make big explosions. Then it's okay.
You would not believe the lengths to which Christians will bend over backwards to explain the Bible verse where God says, I create good and
evil. Oh, yeah. They'll twist themselves in pretzels over that one. It's fun.
Well, now how are we on time? I think it's like we've maybe used up our 20 minutes.
Yeah, we got about 6 minutes left.
Well, you going to do your announcements at the end?
We could go all the way to 4 o'clock, which would be another 10 minutes.
No, we won't. I will go ahead and do the announcements for the end of the show. I promised that I would, because we put these off till the end because we have people in the chat room.
Who had already heard
them, and then we had a technical problem and had to start over again.
Sorry.
And of course, like a bunch of weasels, they ran away with their tails between their legs. They just couldn't bear to stick around. But anyway, let's see. Today's music was Warning Sign by the Talking Heads. This show was recorded live March 16, 2002. The Atheist Community of Austin is a non-profit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation from the state. The ACA has weekly meetings Sunday mornings at the Jumbo Bagel Shop at 307 West 5th Street in Austin, Texas at 10:30 a.m., except for the first day of each month when we have our lecture series at 11 a.m. in the Longhorn Room of Fur's Cafeteria at North Cross Mall. The next lecture will be on April 7. ACA meetings are at 10, right before our regular meeting on the second Sunday of every month, but the last board meeting was postponed and will take place tomorrow, March 17. If you shop at Randall, you can give them our nonprofit organization number, 5158, and 1% of your purchase will be donated to the Atheist Community of Austin. That's not tacked on top of your regular cost, folks. They will just take 1% of the money you paid them and give it to us. The Godless Gamers meet every Monday night at 7 p.m. at my place, also here in Austin. ACA Happy Hour is at Antonio's near Highway 35 and 183. Thursday nights now. Used to be on Wednesdays, but Antonio's changed their hours and are closing at 9 o'clock on Wednesdays, which is just not late enough. So Thursdays now at Antonio's, down the southbound access road, south of the Highway 35 and 183 intersection. That's starting at 7 p.m., and if you get there at 7, some people say 7:30, but either way, hang around till you see other people that you recognize from the group, or just see a big group of non-believers meeting. That'll be them. Mm-hmm. For more information, you can call our voicemail at area code 512-371-2911. That is the ACA voicemail. That's not for this show. We're still working on getting a phone line hooked up so we can take callers, and we'll be happening at a point after we do our move to our new facility. Maybe that will be taken care of. The ACA's website is www.atheist-community.org. Now, I will be out of town next Saturday, March 23, but the show will still be on. The Saturday after that, March 30, we're planning on running a rerun in our live slot because we will be
helping us move.
I've been saying that the show is moving to a new facility. That's because our current facility is the Russell Glassers rented house, and you're buying a house now, right?
That's correct.
And that's where we're going to be moving for the new facilities.
Wow.
The Atheist Alliance Convention is weekend of March 29 to 31 at the Harvey Hotel, Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. You can get all the information you need about that by going to www.metroplexatheist.org/convention2002.htm. Members of the ACA will gather at Bull Creek Park in Austin on April 20 to lend a hand in keeping our city parks clean. Contact Michelle Gadouche if you want to join in. Volunteers are encouraged to wear their ACA t-shirts and show Austin that atheists care. The hours are 9 to 3, but you can come anytime and stay as long as you like. Any instances of slur, defamation, or discrimination against atheists or non-believers in the use of media can be reported to the National Atheist Ombuds by emailing ombuds@atheism.org. Tell them what was said and who said it and where it appeared, and that will be reported to participating national and local non-theist organizations who have agreed to distribute press releases regarding the reported subject matter. We had one of these come up, I think it was last week, Associated Press op-ed piece about the killing of the journalist in Pakistan. The person with the opinion that that journalist was killed by atheists because no true Muslim would kill anybody.
Oh, brother.
Moron!
Non-Prophets
Damn.
Atheist Experience CDs. You can collect past 8 episodes of the Non-Prophets and an audio version of our sister show, The Atheist Experience, which airs on public access TV only in Austin, Texas, in convenient CD format. Each CD includes a month's worth of audio from both shows in both QuickTime and MP3 format, plus extra special stuff on top of that, like the January one has our church-state separation rally audio on it. The CDs are $5 each. Contact atheist@mac.com for info. More Christians t-shirts, mugs, mouse pads, and all that other good stuff is still available from www.cafehouse.com/nogods. That they feature a parody of the Chick-fil-A advertising campaign. Chick-fil-A has 3 cows with placards saying, "Eat more chicken." We have 3 lions saying, "Eat more Christians." Proceeds will go to the cost of running and promoting this here fine program you've been listening to today. Okay, are we done?
I think we're done.
We've had another fine program. I had a wonderful time talking with all.
It's really quite a fine T-shirt, too.
Why, thank you.
Okay, bye everyone.
Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next week.